This is a priority call to all Justice League members. A woman is missing.
She's one of ours. Her name is Lois Lane.
Before we get into this review, I just want to say and warn you guys that there's going to be spoilers and potential spoilers going into this review. Mostly spoilers, but I decided to warn you guys because this is going to be a rough one, and I'm going to bring up a point in here that's going to involve a lot of spoilers. So, before we get started, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe. Oh, and before we do that, I just want to let you know a little statistic. About 97% of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel, so yeah, please subscribe. Alright, back to the video. Injustice is bad, I don't know what else to tell you guys. I was really heartbroken by this, especially by the people who made Scorpion's Revenge. I was hoping for a series of movies to kind of flesh this out a bit more, but let me just go ahead and review this and break this movie down in the best way that I can. Possibly, maybe.
My pudding could light up a room with a happy giggle and grin.
The problem with the Injustice movie isn't so much the characters that they've selected to be in here. Yes, that's part of the reason, but also it's because of the rushed runtime. The characters are not allowed to be fleshed out because they're trying to cover so many stories worth of material in just a short amount of time. Even then, they're not being faithful to it. It's okay to make changes to a story, but as long as it services the story and the characters. This movie doesn't really do that, and it really wants to set up conflict between Batman and Superman as fast as possible because that's the selling point of the Injustice storyline, besides the whole Nuke and Metropolis stuff. But really, it's just the Batman and Superman debate that fans have always been clinging on to for years, and they very clearly just want to get to that as fast as possible without developing too many characters or even developing the core characters who are at each other's throats. So let's discuss them. Superman is definitely the best character if you're talking about from a story standpoint. Kinda, sorta, some debates can be put there, but you definitely can feel his loss, his pain at the beginning of the movie. As a matter of fact, that's the best part about this movie, is the first beginning part. You can feel his loss, you can feel the pain, you can feel what this man has gone through and how this would tear a man who would seemingly be invincible, really tear him apart and bring him down to his core. And I gotta hand it to the movie. The very beginning of the movie does an extremely good job. An extremely good job at setting up why
Now that's a punchline.
he would kill the Joker. However, this is where we get into my biggest problem. Because the movie doesn't allow Clark Kent, Superman, to develop in the movie, not enough time to develop him, he comes across as very much, how do I put it? Homelander Superman. Yeah, Superman's pretty much Homelander in this movie. I don't really see a differentiation between them. And because the movie doesn't set him up to become this, which he does in the comics, it feels out of nowhere. Batman. Batman has always been one of my favorite DC characters of all time, and probably one of my favorite superheroes. How they handle him in this movie is very well done from what I can see, but in a sense, it can feel like pretty traditional Batman. And because of the duality between him and Superman, it feels very natural in the way they do it, but it also feels very undercut according to how it would be in the comic books. Now, as an adaptation, this is a very poor portrayal of how Batman was in the Injustice comic books. But from a sense of movies, this is pretty spot on. However, I do have to admit, Batman in this movie can be pretty stupid at some points.
Do you bleed? You will. Something is definitely bleeding.
But he does feel very reminiscent of the 4th season of Batman the Animated Series, or the New Batman Adventures, going by your persuasion, so they do a good job. Okay, let's see. Wonder Woman's a psychopath. Green Lantern is barely in the movie at all. And, well, The Flash... Did that make you guys mad? It made me mad. But the biggest problem with Injustice is its runtime and the fact that it tries to cram too much inside of its movie. It could have been something else, and it could have been something way better. It should have been a series of movies or either a TV series. And the biggest problem I have with that is because they do this, they don't have enough time to develop all the characters that are in there, and all the characters that play a role in the comic book, they completely exit them out of the movie at the very beginning. And it's like they exited out Batman and Superman's friendship at the very beginning too, because the conversation they had about Lois being pregnant, that was better. And this feels soulless in this movie. I'm not kidding. The biggest word I have for the overall movie and the feel of some conversations is soulless. There was a very touching scene in the comic where Batman and Superman discussed Lois's pregnancy, and in that scene, he asked Batman to be the godfather, showing just how close these two actually were, and Batman smiled. The Injustice comic book takes place over 5 years. They had so much material to work with, and they could have done it in a series of movies or again, a television series. But they rushed it. In a sense, we just don't get an accurate adaptation of this comic book. Now, from the average viewer, this might be pretty good, despite some controversial things happening, where people forget characters' deaths, but this might be okay. I don't know if people are gonna have this well received or not, but it's not really a great adaptation, and for the most part, a lot of things are questionable even as that. So, Injustice is a bad movie, and it can be very frustrating watching it. You don't believe me? There's literally a scene where they try to redeem Superman at the end where Lois comes in, and then, he basically gets sad. It's too late to sell some emotion now, you guys. It felt pretty soulless up until this point. But there are some good parts here and there. The characters are pretty fun to watch sometimes. Batman and Superman's conflict is pretty well done. I like it. It's serviceable. And Plastic Man is great. I think Plastic Man is really, really good. Oh, also the action scenes are really good too. I gotta mention the best part of the movie to me is an action scene. Well, one of the best parts. And it's between two Supermen that's from the other dimension and this Injustice version, and it just feels like a battle you would see between two Supermen, and they even work in a super move from the video game into the fight, and it feels really, really cool. I'm not gonna lie, it really does. And I think the action scenes are pretty superb, but the best scene to me is
You can't help them by dying!
everything about that scene felt very haunting, and it felt like that should have been the tone through a lot of this movie as well, as it's either comedic or overly done. Just looking at the sight of Superman just blowing people up like that, that's disturbing enough, but seeing the expressions of Batman and Catwoman as it happens and hearing the screams of people, it's just disturbing, man. It is truly something that leaves an impact, and this movie, quite frankly, is an injustice to the adaptation, and it's a pretty fitting title for this movie because it's absolutely injustice and it's pretty bad. But there are some good parts here and there that you can enjoy. You can look them up on YouTube. Review's over. Like, share, subscribe today to join the Azalization.